ThekarmicDF.
What is up, besties? It is your girl, ThekarmicDF, back to you again with another video. This time we're going to cover how to heal generational karma, generational trauma, or if you're not a spiritual, you're more psychology based, then basically how we step into our power, how we release limiting beliefs, and how we actually can create a fulfilling, meaningful life. So if that's something that you're interested in, please leave it a like. It really does support my channel. Comment down below what you guys would like to see in future videos. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. Sometimes I'm on TikTok. Links are all down below. If you want a personal reading, links are all down below. If you're here because you like pop culture, conspiracy readings, I will still be making those. I have playlists. Maybe you haven't seen some of them, so go ahead and check them out. But as always, I appreciate you guys so much. What's up, my regulars? Love you guys. And let's get into it. Now, in full transparency, I didn't originally start with the goal of like healing my lineage. I just wanted a better life for myself. And I knew in my core that I could obtain that. You could argue that my soul probably knew it was time, but after years of monotony and not really living, I decided that I had watched enough inspiring people, like Tony Robbins, for instance, who I later completed his UPW course, and I wrote out who it was that I wanted to be. I envisioned what I thought to be my best timeline or my best self. And more so, what is the ideal version of my life without limitations? And what moves can I make now to increase the odds of making this transition happening and making this the best reality possible for me? And so I made a list of all the things that the best Mindy would do, and I began to just chip away at it. For me, for instance, my best self would get to bed early. She would wake up early. She would meditate. She would cut out all the vices that she leaned on. She would learn to slow down. She'd pour into herself instead of relying on others who were never meant to fix me. I looked at myself with blatant honesty. Where was I sleeping on my potential? Why was I making excuses for mediocre relationships of all forms? And what would that healthy version of Mindy expect? Would she want relationships that poured into her? Would she want friendships where there was loyalty? Would she want to speak her truth without being worried about what people would say back? I was looking to bring the most authentic self back to the surface. Now, I know you're probably like, that sounds easy enough, but that is what kickstarted my spiritual awakening and ultimately had me purging decades of pain and trauma, as well as the pain of my ancestors. Because what you need to understand is for generations, we have been pulled so far away from being in touch with ourselves deeply. Look at the political climate that we live in today alone. There are so many outside forces designed to get us as disconnected from ourselves as humanly possible. And that's not our true nature. We are meant to be more tribal. We are meant to be part of a community. And this system is designed to kind of break us, make us more robotic, criminalize our emotions. And so for up until this moment, you've been running on kind of like an autopilot, and that is where we need to bring it back to who we are meant to be, who we were always meant to be, more spiritual, more in tune with ourselves, more validating self first and then being there for others. Think of the example of the airplane that's about to, potentially go down, right? You put the mask on you first in order to help others. That's how it should always be. But instead, we give and we give and we give, and then we're depleted, and then we don't understand why. But the reality has always been that we needed to prioritize ourselves first. We have gotten confused. We have tried to fit in instead of finding people that make sense to us. And so we don't feel whole within ourselves. And so then we find people to like clench onto so that we don't have to face ourselves. And then you rinse, wash, repeat. And that's why we become so disconnected, because we are looking outside of ourselves when all the answers that we are looking for lie within. So for instance, if I wanted the dream job, I'd have to face the limiting beliefs of scarcity mindset. The universe will test you, and this is where a lot of people who aren't spiritual will go, oh my God, I have such bad luck, the world's out to get me, yada yada. But what's really happening in those low points, whether it's money, love, self-love, etc., it's all the triggers surrounding that limiting belief coming up in order for you to face it head on. So like with money, with money scarcity mindset, you probably lived in a family that believes that you have to work hard for bare minimum. And so you might decide that you want to be rich, and then you might see a dip in your finances and you're like, oh my God, you're right back into scarcity mindset, right? But the reality is that's happening because it's teaching you, based on ancestors and based on today and based on society and what we've learned, we learned this lack mentality. We have to begin to unlearn that. And the only way to unlearn that is to face it dead on. Instead of being afraid and going, where do I go? What do I do? What next? What next? We have to calm down, figure out what we do have control over, let go of the rest, and learn that we are always being tested and always being directed or redirected. So a lot of times when people think that you're failing, you're not necessarily failing. You're simply being redirected or kind of, again, more so tested, where like the mindset of money, you're trying to bring in money. Then in order to have money in a healthy way, you have to know that, you know, when you're kind of, you know, you don't have as much, well, we got to be careful with our verbiage here, but you know, don't spend $50 on DoorDash while you're simultaneously worrying about money, right? I see a lot of people that are always like, I can never get my finances together, but then they'll have a bad day and then they'll splurge on stuff they don't need. So these wounds are coming up in order for you to realize where you kind of screw yourself over in the money aspect. I'll give you a better example. A more common example, I wanted a healthy, unconditional love, and don't we all? And in order to get that, I had to be tested and course corrected. I was sent a false twin flame who had his own issues, but he let me down. He hurt my feelings often and never took accountability for his fault. His apologies, if ever, were just words. It was never backed up with actions. Basically, I needed a straw that broke the camel's back type of scenario for me to go, you know what? Fuck this. I don't care. There's got to be someone out there that'll love me how I deserve to be loved. And so after a lot of back and forth, I finally decided to walk away. So essentially, I told the universe, I'm not settling. You're going to give me the love that I want. And so then I began modeling to myself what love would look like for me. I comforted myself when I was sad. I bought myself something nice to celebrate a win or victory of my own. I showed the universe what love looks like to me so that when that love comes in, I know what to accept and what not to accept. And the universe will send you a few more karmics. This will be to test you. Basically, and are you sure you're not going to settle this time? And the pickier I got, the more I attracted people who no longer gaslit me and tried to make me feel small. I said I was done with letting men put me in situationships, and so I started attracting men who wanted real commitment. The universe will give you little nuggets of, see, it's working. But you have to see it as a game. You have to reframe your mind of this lack mentality that we're used to and changing it to, the universe has my best interest at heart, and I'm going to look for the breadcrumbs in which they're giving me so that I know that I'm headed in the right direction. Your mind creates your reality. If you have a scarcity mindset, that's what you're going to get in return. The universe does not care about your feelings. I'm sorry. It cares about energy aligning. Think about the wealthiest people. They barely work and they're entitled to shit, right? So this already proves that you do not have to work hard and slave your entire life to make money. You have to work, of course. You have to learn the ebbs and flows of you. And up until this point, you've been on robotic mode, because don't forget, it takes just 21 days to make something a habit. And by 30 years old, 95% of your brain is automatically on autopilot. It's why most people don't leave bad situations. It's all they know. And let's be honest, change is hard and scary. But imagine if you spent that time on things you wanted instead of a lack mindset. Choose your hard. Basically, you need to convince your brain that you're entitled to riches, entitled to unconditional love, healthy friendships, a healthy lifestyle, whatever it is that you ultimately want to obtain and to become. And let the universe flip your whole world upside down. You're going to lose friends, some family even, spouses. Jobs will fall apart. Belief systems will start to break down. You will have days where you have your own breakdowns and think you're going freaking mental. But those breakdowns are the accumulation of all the breakdowns that you have suppressed up until this point. You're essentially cleaning up house from the inside out. How can you have the love of your life if you believe all men cheat, or I'm only worthy when I'm giving? These old wounds have to come up and you have to face them. This is where even spiritual workers can give up. I've seen a lot of great YouTubes that just stopped being created. And when I asked my spirit team, it's almost always because they didn't really believe that it could happen for them. They were impatient and they gave up. And we see that always. Think of how often we give up. It's safer to expect to be let down because then you can't be hurt, right? Which isn't true at all because you're still left unhappy. So again, choose your hard. Quitting a job is hard. So is believing and trying to start your own business. Choose your hard. Life is going to be hard. Otherwise, we wouldn't appreciate it when things go right. So where do you want to focus your attention? Because that's what creates your reality. It's not your age, it's not your gender, it's not your upbringing, it's not your race. The universe gives zero fucks about that. If you want to transmute generational karma, trauma, then you need to be the one that rejects a mediocre reality no matter who, what says it's unrealistic or obtainable. I was an alcoholic 4 years ago. This lifestyle was completely unobtainable to anyone who knew that version of me. But I made a choice and I did not give up no matter how uncomfortable it got. You need to choose you. The work will fall into your lap and you'll see where you need to make adjustments. Understand that they're all tests. They're all things coming up to the surface to be dealt with once and for all. You're realizing just now that maybe life really can offer you more. And if you're, say, 30, then you've had 30 years of false beliefs projected onto you, which then became your own. Rome wasn't built in a day. So understand that this is going to take time. You'll have bad days where it's time to purge and you need some kid movies and a blanket and you may cry all freaking day. You've become the parent that you never had. You're validating yourself for the first time. It's gonna be hard, but keep a journal. You'll see the difference in yourself. I've been doing this for about 4-ish years now. Though I'm nothing like the girl that started this journey, I'm still not done. And it'll come in ebbs and flows, so just let it happen. We're so used to this, only on weekends do I have time to. So we don't allow ourselves to be human beings with feelings. And you're about to have a lot of them. It's about learning to listen to them as they begin to come up for you. And let those emotions flow out so that they can stay out for good. And sometimes you may have to repeat things because you're coming up from a higher and higher perspective. So you might go from like, all men are evil, to, okay, maybe I kind of have a couple of options, but I feel closed off, to, okay, now I'm really open, but I'm very picky now. Do you see what I mean? There are leveling degrees in which you obtain end game, end goal. Because as always, healing is a forever journey. And you just have to follow the tides that is you. What is your end game and how committed are you to making it happen? Because doing this work is not pretty. You're gonna feel abandoned, alone, weak, not enough, poor, whatever wounds you have. But as you let those feelings come up, you identify the source and change that inner critic to know that that was your past, your conditioning. You're going to heal it and create a future that you believe in. There's no trickery to this. Full moons, you're more likely to purge. New moons, you're more likely to want to start new things. Follow the rhythm of your soul because it knows what we don't understand. Just let life happen for you. Declare it to yourself and to the world that you are striving for greatness and you will not be swayed away from it, and then embody it. Let yourself get swept away. It's a journey. You're going to feel lighter with time. You're going to feel incredibly proud of yourself. You're going to have a close relationship with yourself that you didn't believe possible. Just like everything else in life, it takes work and patience. With more time, less work. Whenever something is hard, use my life hack of, what is this telling me about myself? And then get to digging. Stop giving away your power to people and situations. There is a way, you just got to take it one step at a time. So choose your heart. What are you going to decide is best for you? What do you want most out of life, and how committed are you to making that happen? Because life comes with ebbs and flows. There is pain, but there is also joy. And as you are releasing all of this pain, you will feel immense amount of joy. The level of joy that I have felt because I've done this work, I would not change it for the world. And when I tell you that over the past few years, there have been numerous occasions where I have been on the floor, sobbing like a little girl, letting it all out, releasing so much pain from childhood, from relationships, from fake ass friendships, from people that just took and took and took but never gave back. I didn't know better, but now I do, so I can do better. And that's the end game here. That's the goal. Do you want a life that you can truly enjoy, where you wake up each day and you're like, you know, there are some negatives, but I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus on the positives, and I'm going to chip away at the things that I don't like, and I'm going to control the circumstances and the outcomes. You have the capability to do that, but you have to believe in yourself in order to make it happen. And like I said, especially with the society that we live in that tells us not to have feelings, when 25% of the American population has mental health issues, and that's just the people that actually went to therapy, I'm just saying, it's not helping us to not feel our feelings. It's not helping us to go outside of ourselves to find things, when in reality, everything we need is inside of us. We have to be there for ourselves. We have to be our own best friend. We have to be our own spouse and show ourselves what a real spouse would look like. We have to be our own parent, because our parents had the same generational trauma and they chose not to work on it. And listen, this isn't a blame game here. This is about taking accountability, responsibility, and doing it our damn selves. Because if we're going to keep relying on other people that constantly let us down, then we're choosing our own hard, and it's not even worth it. Because think about people, I can think of a ton of people around me that have spent 20 plus years in jobs they hate and 20 plus years in relationships where they're miserable, but because it's safe, they don't walk away, and they don't want anything changed, and they don't want to hear about how you can change it. That's their life, that's their decision, but you're choosing more for yourself. So already be proud of yourself, because most people are too afraid to even embody that. And if you want your dream life, then you have to do the work. So again, choose your heart. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope this was helpful. I didn't want to make it very woo-woo, because I want people to understand from a psychological standpoint what you're getting yourself into. Obviously, it's spiritual when you're healing generational trauma, but I want you to understand from a mental perspective as well, because when I personally went into this field, I was hella confused. I was looking everywhere else like, can someone please tell me what the hell's going on with myself? And in reality, I was just so disconnected from my feelings. I was so disconnected from anything other than a scarcity mindset. I was so based in trauma. I was based in just surviving, just getting by. The idea of dreaming of something big was like, I'm not even going to go there. Like my dream job back in the day, and if you have this, I'm not shitting on you, but it's just like, this is what society does to us. My dream job was just to be a general manager at some retail store, just so that I could afford to have a home of my own, so that I could just get by. I mean, that's sad, isn't it? And it's not to knock anybody who has that. It's just that you deserve more. So take it. It's yours. It's your fundamental right. You have a right to money. You have a right to live. We were not put on this earth to suffer, but because we're taught to suffer, we have to make the decision to step out of the rat wheel, to get out of that. And it's up to you to make those choices. And like I said, and I'm going to repeat it one last time, it's up to you to choose your heart. So what's it going to be? I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that this was helpful. Again, if you like these videos, please leave it a like. It really does help my channel. If you think this could benefit anyone else, please share this video. Subscribe if you're new here. Appreciate you all so much. Hit that notification button, bell, whatever. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on there sometimes. All the links are down below. If you'd like to book a personal reading from me, links are down below. And I will catch you guys in my next video. You guys got this, besties. If I can do it, I promise you can do it too. I believe in you. And you deserve a good life, a great life even. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.
The Karmic DF.